Everybody, it's Bonnie, the avid organizer here, and I'm just jumping on just a little minute early because this is the first live video that I've ever done. Hey everybody, I think we're live. Just jumping on early, just because this is the first live video that I've ever done. So I'm yeah, just making sure that everything's working the way that it's supposed to work. Got my other little laptop over here, hopefully telling me what's going on. Just have a refresh there. Okay, looks like we are happening. Well, thanks to anybody. I can see there's a couple of people who've joined me today. That's really exciting. Um, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Bonnie Weston, and I'm the Avid Organizer. So I'm really thankful for the chance to share with you today. This is a really great opportunity for me to talk about the things that I'm really passionate about. So a big shout out to Beck and Lisa from Pop Your Business for organising this great event. I know that everyone who's been part of it is really thankful for the invitation. All right, everybody still with me? Okay, so let's get started. So today I'm going to share with you 3 hacks to help you become more efficient in your business. And I'm sharing, hey Angie, and I'm sharing on this topic because it's been my experience that small businesses and especially sole traders often have trouble in this area. I think the key thing to remember in all this is that you can't know what you don't know. So if you're taking notes, you should definitely write that down. I have to tell myself this frequently when I wonder why I didn't come up with a faster way to do things or a better way to do things earlier. So you can't know what you don't know. And we are all on a learning journey. So that's the first very important thing to remember. So, especially if you're a small business starting out, it's likely that you might have quite a bit of time up your sleeves. And depending on your unique sort of situation, that means that you could actually have the time to be quite thorough with everything that you're doing and to be quite organized. And it also means that you might be quite small in terms of your workload. So you're not actually navigating a lot of information and a lot of data, which means that being organized isn't actually a necessity. The problem with that, though, is that as your business grows, um, that amount of information and data increases. And because you get busier, you actually have less time on your hands to go looking for the things that you need. And that leads to increased stress. And let's face it, nobody wants stress. It means that it takes you longer to find the things that you're looking for. You get caught up running from this job to that job, and you sort of feel like you're spinning your wheels a bit. It can also be really hard to focus, which means that you're actually getting less done, and that can be really deflating when you've got a lot on your plate. And really, it just results in this epic loss of motivation. So, does anybody know what that feels like? Anybody relate? Hey, Tracy, good to have you on. So I find that when I am jumping around from here to there, I end up being really deflated because I don't feel like I'm achieving anything. So the major benefit of becoming more efficient in your business, and particularly if you can do it, earlier on in your business, is that you can save a lot of stress and put time back into your day. You can achieve more, which leads to you feeling really good. You'll have happier customers, happier customers and clients because you're able to deliver, a better, more timely service. And it also inspires more confidence. Your customers are really confident that you can deliver on time, which is really, really great for repeat customers. So, some of you have heard me speak about why I started my business. but some of you might not have. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a recap because it actually has a lot to do with what I'm talking about today. So my professional background is in procurement and contracts for large engineering and construction industries. And in my last employee position before starting my business about 3 years ago, I was working on the NBN down in regional Victoria. And the company that I worked with, they really had this great policy to engage local subcontractors. They really wanted to, put money back into the local economy rather than bringing in people from capital cities, which was great. The problem was that a lot of the businesses that we ended up working with were small, sort of mum and dad operations, and they were brilliant at the things that they actually did, but they really struggled with the administrative side of what they were doing. And really, the main problem and what it came down to was that they lacked organisation. So this created a lot of rework because they were using outdated plans. They couldn't keep track of, what was current and what was old. They were doing things like digging up people's lawns by mistake, which led to a lot of stress. They were also behind schedule, and they didn't know what they were billing for. So they missed a lot of things that they could have claimed, and they were really just tangled up. And that just resulted in a lot of stress. There was a lot of financial pressure for them. And I used to think to myself, if you'd just been able to get yourselves organised better, your efficiency would be, improved 10 times over. They would have been less overwhelmed, and they probably would have been able to take on more work, which would have, again, reduced that financial pressure as well. So that's just a little bit of a recap about why I do what I do, which is help small businesses get on top of their administration and get organised. So onto the hacks. So the three strategies that I want to share with you today. So if you're writing notes, you can write these down. So the first one is get a functional filing system. The second one is schedule your time. And the third one is stop multitasking and start batching. Okay. All right. Everybody still with me? All right. So let's talk about the functional filing system. This is probably one of the most boring things that you can do to set yourself up for better efficiency in your business. Yeah, I said that. I'm an organizer by nature, so I really love it. But I do acknowledge that this is actually a really dry topic for most of the population. So bear with me. Okay, so a good functional filing system helps you find what you're looking for it when you're looking for it. And in essence, that's actually the whole point of a filing system. And I like to think of a good filing system like the bones in a body. So it's not the prettiest analogy that I can give you, but without the structure of the bones, the body's it's actually like a skin bag full of the body's parts. Without the structure, the muscles, the veins, the organs and ligaments are all just messed up together. So if you imagine trying to isolate one tiny part amongst all of those bits, it's not impossible, but it definitely could be easier. And a good filing structure has layers, which are there to help you detour past the information that's irrelevant and straight to the thing that you're looking for. So I'm going to say that again because that's quite important to remember because that's sort of the whole purpose. So a good filing structure has layers and it helps you detour past information that's relevant to the thing you're actually looking for. So imagine if you're looking for one specific house out of all the houses in Australia. A lot of houses. But if you know that the house is in New South Wales, you can ignore the houses in all the other states and territories of Australia. And then if you know that the house is in Sydney, then you can ignore the houses in all the other cities and towns in New South Wales. And if you had even more information and you knew that the house was in the suburb of, let's say, Bondi, you can ignore the houses in all the other suburbs. So in the same way, a functional filing system allows you to zero in onto the information that you're looking for so much faster. So is that making sense to people? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Okay. So how do you build this filing system? You start by doing a brain dump of all the types of information you're going to need to keep. So really everything that you think you're going to put into your filing system. And I like to do this with post-it notes because I think the visuals make it easier. So what you do is you write down one thing on each post-it note. And whether you do it on the wall or the table or desk, wherever, it doesn't matter. And then you start grouping together post-it notes that are related topics. For instance, I might put, my tax information with maybe invoices or something like that, or a position description for a job. It might go in with, say, employment contracts. So you just sort of start grouping things that go together. And once you've grouped all of your post-it notes up as best you can, then you actually give them a label. And you might call it, say if I'm talking employment contracts and position descriptions, I might call that human resources or employment or whatever it is. And then next you start thinking about how the information on each of those post-it notes can be split up. And you can do this by date, so it could be by financial year, by month, or quarters, weeks, whatever it might be that helps you find things better. Or you could isolate and split up your information by type. So if I think about social media, for example, I might want to split that up into more layers to help me find things easily. So I might have one folder under social media called Instagram, another one might be Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And that way, if I'm going to be looking for a Facebook post, I know that I can ignore everything that's in the Instagram folder, the Pinterest folder, the LinkedIn folder, and the Twitter folder. Is that making sense? It's a way of, yeah, just zoning in onto the information that you're looking for in a hurry without having to sift through bulk information. So once you've done that and you've got kind of a map of your files, what you're going to do is you're going to create a filing structure. And you're going to do that on whatever platform that you're using, whether that might be Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, on your computer, on an external hard drive, wherever it is, it doesn't really matter. So if you wanted to know more about how to set up a functional filing system, there's a blog on my website that actually has some images and steps through it in a bit more detail. So feel free to jump on and have a look at that. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the functional filing system? No? Excellent. I'm assuming, it's all just making sense. Okay, so our first hack is the functional filing system. Our second hack is to schedule and plan. So planning helps you make the most of your time. It helps you see what you have to get done and how much time you have to get it done. And it also helps you see what's actually realistically achievable for your week or your day. So does anybody here know what they achieved last week? And if so, how do you know what you achieved? So I've met several people in the last, let's say, 6 months who have really unrealistic expectations about what they can actually achieve in a day or a week. And it just leaves them feeling quite frustrated because they have grand plans of all these things, but they're just over scheduled. They think they can do too much. But one of the things a good schedule will do, it will actually help you see your productivity. And sometimes it can be really illuminating to look back on your plan for the week and see all the things that you did actually accomplish. If you've had a really tough week, it can be quite uplifting to actually see it, in paper or however you're planning. And what scheduling does, it actually gives you an action plan for your day and for your week. It's a really big winner for keeping you on task. So I find having a schedule actually helps me from procrastinating because in one snapshot, I'm actually aware of all the other things that I'd committed to achieving. And it kind of gives me that, makes me realize that I better keep hustling instead of, perusing online shopping or looking at photos or doing whatever it is I'm doing. And there's many ways that you can schedule your time. So an email calendar is probably the go-to, but you can also use a notebook, you can use paper diary, there's apps, there's software. You can also look at task management systems to help you schedule your time too. And there's so many different apps and so much software available out there. And I would sort of say that it's a matter of finding something that you like that suits your preferences. It suits your taste because honestly, if you don't like the look of it, you're probably not gonna use it. And the other thing is make sure it suits your budget because there's a lot of great software out there you can pay for, but do you need to be paying for it? I guess that's up to you to work out. I particularly like Asana, and I use it for a guide on due dates and as a bit of a brain dump to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. And personally, I've settled on a combination of Microsoft Outlook calendar for sort of general stuff and personal appointments, and I use Acuity for calendar meetings. And I also use one calendar app on my phone, which I find works really well. So does anybody want to share what they use to keep their appointments organised? Holy moly, I've just actually realised I missed a lot of comments. Sorry, guys. Tracy, I never stick to block scheduling. Okay. I wonder why that is, Tracy. So part of me actually really freaks out about the idea of relying on tech entirely. Um, for a while, there, I was actually trying to use a paper diary, but it just got too cumbersome, when I was on the go. So I think we just have to face it that tech is here to stay. And if all the tech goes down, we've probably got, worse things to worry about than our appointments. Click up for Emma. Deb uses a diary. Tracy's iCalendar. Yeah, there's lots of different ones, and it's really about finding the thing that actually works for you. Um, okay, so I'm going to share with you how I schedule my week. So the first thing you should always do is set aside some time to create a weekly schedule or to have a review of what's coming up for your next week. Um, for me, I usually do it first up on Monday mornings or sometimes Sunday nights, depending on what's happening. And that's obviously, depends on your life and what's going on. Friday afternoons before you finish work are also another good time to go through it because that helps you sort of tie up all the loose ends and finish your week going into the weekend knowing that you've got a plan for the next week. So when I set up my week, I put in all the non-negotiable stuff first. And that's usually my client appointments and then any sort of non-negotiable personal appointments. And then I add in all the work that I can control the schedule for. It's sort of the work that I think of as self-paced. There's a due date, but as long as I get it done before the due date, it doesn't particularly matter when I get it done. So by going through that process, I can actually see where I have pockets of time to fit things in, or as it's been lately, I can actually see that I need to probably stop overcommitting to things because there's not much time. So sometimes, things change because urgent stuff comes up. There's some things you've just got to make time for. You don't have a choice. But generally speaking, this is the formula that works for me. So does anybody want to share what they use? Their approach to sort of scheduling your week. Do you do it in once or you sort of do it on the go, on the roll? Another thing to consider when you're actually scheduling your time is, do you have like a power hour? So it's something that Emma, I can see you're watching. Something that I learned sort of from Emma is that there's times of the day where I'm actually more focused and I'm more efficient. My brain just seems to work better. So one of my lovely clients who's on watching, I know that she is most efficient at 4:30 in the morning. She just smashes through the work. If she's got a to-do list, she's on it. For me, I cannot function at 4:30 in the morning. I'm practically like the living dead. So I tend to book my client meetings no earlier than 10 o'clock in the morning, and if possible, no later than 3:30, because I know that that middle of the day time is when I work best. And sometimes it's just a bit of a super uphill effort if you're trying to make it work. So if you're a night person, scheduling something at 8 o'clock in the morning, chances are you're probably going to take twice as long and you're probably going to get really frustrated. Does anybody want to share when's their power hour or power hours or whatever you want to call it? Deb, you're sleeping soundly at 4:30. Tara, between 1 to 3. Yeah, okay, cool. Awesome. And sometimes it's good just to think about this stuff. Like we just get so busy that we don't actually think about it. So that's hack number two. So hack number one, get a good filing system. And hack number two, make the most of your time by scheduling and making a plan. Shannon, between 7:30 and 9 o'clock in the morning when no one's replying. That's a good way not to get distracted. Okay, so hack number three is stop multitasking and start batching. So we're often told how it's stereotypically a female trait to be good at multitasking, but I think it's actually impossible to do two things at once, especially if they're entirely different things. So all we're really doing is switching really fast between one thing and the next thing. So I think that if you want to really up the efficiency in your business, stop multitasking. So I'm going to share how I clean my house. So it starts with me picking up stuff, say in the lounge room, and putting it in the room it belongs. And then when I go to that next room, I see something else and I pick that up and then I go and take it and put it in the next room. And it just continues on and on like that until everything's sort of put away. And I find myself literally walking all over the house. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because the goal was to clean the house and the house is clean. It's not particularly elegant, but it's done. So another scenario is, imagine if I started cleaning and then I saw some stuff I needed to mail. So I decided to go to the post office. And on the way home from the post office, I think, oh gosh, I needed to get some stuff from Woolies for dinner, for afternoon tea, whatever it is. So I take a detour to Woolies. And while I'm at Woolies, I see a girlfriend and she says, hey, come and have a coffee, let's have a chat. So we do that. This does not help me with the goal of cleaning the whole house. Sure, it gets stuff done that needed to be done, but now I still have a house to clean and I've run out of time. So if you take this approach to your business or to your life admin, it becomes really difficult to get the important stuff done. And it gets really frustrating knowing you're at the end of the day and you still haven't done that one critical thing that you had to get done. You've been productive for sure, but you just haven't done that thing. And that's why the multitasking approach is actually quite unproductive. So I hope that illustrates my point. Hey, Beck, I can see Beck's jumped on. Oh, okay, so Alison, you're best late at night or very early. Awesome. All right, let's move on. So, frantically trying to get everything done at once will mostly leave you with lots of things that are started but not finished. And multitasking is actually a way that particularly women, as a generalization, make themselves feel busy. And sometimes we wear that busyness like a bit of a badge. Oh, I'm so busy. I've been doing this, I've been doing that. It makes us feel good about ourselves. But the multitasking mindset's actually quite reactive instead of proactive. And working this way actually leaves you more likely to make mistakes or to produce subpar quality of work. I know from my own experience that when I'm trying to concentrate on doing multiple things because I'm so busy, um, I make mistakes. That's just, yeah, it's just not as good as when I sit down and solely focus on the one thing. And everybody wants to be a finisher. Who wants to be a finisher? So, Tara, agree with multitasking. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Divided attention, it just makes it really, really, really hard. So, what we're going to do is to try to stop multitasking all the time. And instead, I want you to think about a concept called batching. And the best way that I've heard batching explained is this: after you wear a piece of clothing, you don't go and take it to the washing machine and wash it. You actually wait for, Deb's multitasking now. Um, so you don't go and take, your pair of pants straight down to the washing machine after you've worn them and wash them. You actually wait for the washing to pile up so you've got a full load. And that concept is batching. So batching, it really helps you avoid the back and forwards, which saves you time and motion, and it really helps you avoid that mental gymnastics, the stopping and the starting. So what I try and do in my business is to group sort of similar tasks together. So if I'm filing stuff, I'm spending 15 minutes and I'll go through and clean up my downloads folder, and I'll, file email attachments that need to be filed, or, clean up anything that needs to be filed that's on my computer desktop. Not that I make that a habit to put things on my desktop. And if I have to scan a document, then I'll go through and I'll scan, all the receipts that I have to scan. If I'm writing a follow-up email, then I'll sit down and I'll write, 5 in one go. I guess if you're thinking about, like a retail business, they have their FPOS. They don't batch they don't batch transactions, you know, after every transaction. They wait till the end of the day and do it all at once. And that's the batching. So some of the things that you can batch maybe are like quotations and invoices. These are things that are all done from accounting software, or when you have, your accounting brain on. Supplier orders, if that's, your line of business, or social media posts. Do them up for a week or for a month. Some people are so good at it. It's not my area of expertise, and I really struggle to come up with that much content. But a lot of people will do it for a month. And phone calls. If you've got to make a phone call, make the one important phone call, and then while you're, in a chatty mood, make the other three that you have to do as well. So batching, it applies to the non-urgent things, because sometimes you just, you can't avoid doing, the drop everything and do X, Y, Z. But if you can group together some of your daily tasks, I guarantee that you'll get more done. You'll feel clearer because you're not jumping from one thing and then back again to another thing. So, okay, Tara, I'm so bad at batching social media posts. Yeah, for sure. We can all improve. Like we're all on a journey, and as I said to start with, you can't know what you don't know. Tracy, I want to batch my social media content. Yeah, it's really hard. I have to sort of wait for the inspiration to hit me. Alrighty. So to recap, my top 3 hacks for increased efficiency are: number 1, develop a functional filing system, because this is how you're going to find what you're looking for when you're looking for it. Number 2, schedule your time. And this is how you're going to see what is actually realistic for you to achieve, and it will show you what you've accomplished. And then number 3, I want you to stop multitasking when you can and start batching. So this is how you're going to have better focus and waste less time jumping from one thing to another and back again. Tracy Cummins. Ah, yes. Yes, Beck's Business Besties. Maybe that's a great topic for you guys. So that's my three hacks, and I hope they've been helpful, in a way that has actually been practical for you that you can adopt in your personal life or in your business. That's it. That's all, folks. That's all she wrote. Did anybody have any questions for me? Also, too, I'm going to pop in the link once I jump off the live. I'll pop in the comments a link to my blog on setting up a functional filing system, and also I have a little link you can jump on if you want to grab a short condensed version of these three hacks as a reminder of how to keep you organized. Tracy, yeah, awesome. Yeah, implementing, yeah, it's good. You can have all the ideas, but sometimes actually just getting them into action is really, really challenging. Oh, you're welcome, Tracy. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to jump off now, but thank you so much for having me, and I really hope that this has been helpful for you. Um, as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. And if you would like to jump on and have like a free 20-minute consult, have a chat, see whether I might be able to help you, then please do that. All right, I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will see you all later.